Alright, well after I got everything on there, don't do like I almost did and forget to put that plate back on. I had it off while I was kind of manipulating everything, but anyways, there's the 3-hole plate that goes in front of this gear right there. So just make sure you get it back on there, and let's go ahead and get the timing cover prepared and ready to go on there. Alright, we got the timing cover in place. And I'm going to start with some of these bolts here that I had taken out. I know these little short guys, they go up here. Let's see, that's where the water pump goes. Aha. Let's get started over here. So way over here, I'm going to go ahead and get one started in there somehow. Some way. Alright, got one started. That's perfect. Okay. So now I'm going to have to look and figure out what length goes where, because you know, these were different lengths that went in through here. Some of these held the water pump on were longer. Some of them over there were a little bit longer that went all the way through the case into the block. And so I'm going to review that, and I'll give you a rundown on how to put it all back together here in just a second. So we've got the cover loosely on here, and I've got just a bolt kind of holding it there a little bit. And the next thing you need to do is get the water pump installed, or at least on there. You need to get the water pump installed on here to make sure you got everything aligned. And you know, because this cover can kind of move around just a little bit, but you want to go ahead and get the water pump on. So let's go ahead and get that, and get the gasket prepared for that, and go ahead and get that in place. Got everything prepared for the water pump to be installed, so we're going to go ahead and get that in place. I took out the longest of the screws. This is a brand new water pump that I bought for this. I thought it might have been that at the beginning, but you know, I might as well put the brand new one on now. Just maybe save me some trouble in the future. I'm just getting these bolts started by hand, and then we'll go ahead and crank everything down. These 2 longer bolts go all the way through the case and into the block. And these are all 10mm. I'm going to use my Milwaukee ratchet here just to run them up. Alright, now that I've got that in place, I can go ahead and go around the timing cover and finish tightening everything up. Alright, if you look down in there, I've got 4 bolts that are kind of hanging out. You'll kind of see them. There's 1, 2, 3 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Those are the longer bolts, and all the ones I've got tightened down are the short ones. And so I wanted to show you those before I went ahead and tightened everything down. Got the water pump in, tightened up, got the cover on, and I think I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started up. But let me get these bolts tightened up and torque everything down just right, and then we'll come back and see if we can get it to turn over and start, just to make sure I had everything right before I get too far with it. Alright, I got everything kind of buttoned up where I popped this off. I'm going to go ahead and plug these temperature sensor wires back in. Looks like there's one hanging down way down here. Grab that one. I got everything tightened up for the cover and water pump. Torqued everything down, double checked everything. Nothing's kind of gonna get wrapped around anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing over and see if we can get it to start up, just to make sure I've got everything right. Looks like there's some coolant kind of dripping out there a little bit. I guess where it got knocked over. Let's see here. I'll put that back over there. All right, good enough. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It ran, it started right up. It was kind of cool today. It was cold last night, so I'm good with that. We'll let everything kind of set up and come back tomorrow, because it's getting late in the day now, and hopefully finish it up tomorrow, because that would be great. So I need it next weekend. Got everything ready up here, and I went ahead and removed the fan from this assembly here. That was just 6 half-inch head bolts that held that on there. I think that's going to make this a little easier to maneuver around and everything. And these are 13mm head bolts, and there's 4 of these that go around here that reattach this thing back on here. Let's see if we can get something started there. There's something. And then I've got, you know, 2 on this side, 2 on that side. So I'm gonna fight with these for a little bit and attempt to get them in there. I got the pulley and that mount for the fan installed, bolted up to the block there, and then I went ahead and I put in the fan shroud there because it's so big. I figured I might as well go ahead and get it in there. I test fit the fan that I removed from that pulley right there that the fan mounts to, and it looks like I'll be able to get the fan in there if I remove the top radiator hose, which should not be a problem because I'm not going to completely fill the system anyways. So that'll be okay. So I can get it running, and my plan is to pressure wash the radiator while I have it apart because it's kind of dirty, and so that'll be nice. I'll be able to go ahead and get these belts on this side here around the air conditioning compressor and the alternator that mounts kind of down here. I know it's kind of hard to see, it's a little dark in there now, but let's go ahead and get the alternator mounted up on there's some holes down here. I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. It's just tight in there, you know. I can't really show you, so let's go ahead and get that in there and I'll be right back. Went ahead and got the fan installed on that hub there, and got the belts installed here, and the alternator put back. You know, just do opposite of what you did to take it off. Fan shroud, you know, funny enough, this metal grate probably took the most time. It was just cumbersome and flopped around everywhere, and I went ahead and got that radiator cleaned out, pressure washed, and filled everything back up with some coolant, and let's start it up and see how it sounds. Sounds pretty good. Everything looks like it's running well, smooth. Let's take a look underneath of it and see if we've got any leaks or anything. All right, here's the other side of the engine. But you can see everything there that was done. I don't see any drips. I did have it running for a little bit, so you know, it's not really a fair shake, but for you can see it's not leaking anymore. So that's something great, because this thing was making a mess everywhere. Alright guys, well, as you can see, she's back together. I'm really excited about getting it done. It took me quite a bit of time, and this was you know, really big job, but either way, it wasn't too bad. You know, if you kind of follow along and make sure you do things right and mark what you take apart and keep the bolts separate and everything. But I'm really happy to get it back together and have it not leaking, because that was the goal. And anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.